Well, hello. First of all, my name is Paulo Carrillo. Sorry for my voice. I try to speak more or less slowly to be understand it. Well, I'm going to present the validation process of a new cryptocurrency based on a currency called Eurakos. I'm Paulo Carrillo, and this is going to be the flow of my presentation. I'm going to introduce the basis on this investigation. Then I'm going to present the Eurakos workflow, then the architecture to base all the technology, all the application on this coin, and how is presented all the background interaction with the technology called Ethereum, and how is done the evaluation algorithms and some conclusions of this research. And along all the investigation done personally and with the help of another European project called Bitcoin, we got this conclusion that many cryptocurrencies has a big lack of the adoption of these cryptocurrencies. That more or less for us, this was the most important to overcome. There is lack of confidence of our users because they usually doesn't know, because they think about a normal coin, a fiat coin, the low use of that, the low use of these currencies, and usually most of the currencies has a centralized management that it produces a high effort to its maintenance and dissemination. This proposal tries to overcome these barriers, developing a mobile environment to try to overcome some of these barriers, using blockchain technologies as Ethereum, and proposing another kind of validation to be available, this validation through mobile devices. The work done was based on the first approach of a coin called Eurakos. It was based on a model based on two things: the creation of baskets, and then the creation of agreements. What is the difference of that? Usually, a normal user try to create a basket to say that I want to spend some money on this kind of market that is defined in this part. So with that, they say, well, he can say that I want to spend it in 2 weeks, in a month, in any kind of time, and some providers can offer an amount of rate that they can spend more of this amount of money that they said. So in that case, if he chooses one of these, an agreement is created, and the user can start spending this amount of money that he promises, and the extra amount that the provider give them to be spent in his store. According to this, we propose the first approximation of the interaction of the architecture of this application to be able to implement Ethereum, the Ethereum technology, to make this application to be able to be decentralized this application, to decrease the complexity of the maintenance of this coin, and also to be able to be easy to participate to users in the validation process. According to this, there are three main components on the architecture of this coin. Basically, this is done from a node, an external node from the device that uh, interacts with the blockchain, well, the blockchain from Ethereum, and it has the like an interface to process and get profit from some components of the mobile devices, and to store its wallets to interact with the coin. Basically, this in the technological part, this application depends on the representation that it could have in the Ethereum technology. Based on this, we have to create its behavior using some contracts. Basically, in these contracts, we define also uh, the agreements that it has some clauses to execute after the finish of the agreements that this behavior can be is stored in Ethereum blockchain, and it can be accessed from a reference into the blockchain. Usually, when this all these components to represent the behavior of the of the of the coin, it can be it can all the users can start interacting with the coin through the execution of transactions. That means that it can start spending all the things, all the money that they say that he could spend on a store, and then when the amount finished, or maybe some part cancels the agreement, the clause says what to do after that. All of this thinking that it can be done in a it can be done in a decentralized way. So in based based sorry based on this behavior part is defined in some contracts in Ethereum. It means that there is a in other kind of languages, it could relate it to objects, or more technical part in objects, that is like a representation of the behavior, all the behavior parts of the coin. And in this case, it's represented in some contracts these are the contracts, and related of with all the behavioral part, that is all the methods and all this related part. To be able to be to be executed in mobile devices, we can provide with this research. We would like to provide all the users to participate in the validation of all the actions done inside this coin. So in this case, we start using our first approximation of artificial big colony algorithms. Algorithm that basically this algorithm is defined by searching some food resources to the colony of bees. Usually, this is defined by the definition of some roles, that each role can do a specific uh, specific actions. In this case, uh, one of them only tries to look all the resources around the colony, and the others exploit that resources to be able to have some food inside the colony. In this case, well, in these two roles to exploit the resources, worker analyzes if it can be possible to exploit these these food resources, and defines to the unlockers if they can do it and how can they do it. In the case of the implementation of the algorithms inside this coin, for now we implement uh, the validation in two parts. In a high level part, sorry, in a high level part, uh, we started to implement validation based on this algorithm that we call proof of stake on belonging. What it means that if validators are registered inside the colony, they can validate all the agreements that are created in this environment, and all the basket that is created that are created in this environment. What it means, it basically validates how is done all the process, or how is done all the interaction um, inside these representations. It means that if I created the basket as a user, it's defined that if it was created according to some parameters, and the validation of the agreements, it defines that if I cancel the agreement, uh, maybe all the money defined to be spent, basically maybe it couldn't be spent all if I cancelled, or maybe if I finish the agreement, it means that there are, well, maybe all the agreement, all the money has to be spent or not, and what to do if the money wasn't spent in that case. And all the transactions and all the storage part inside the blockchain, for now we are using the validation process that Ethereum has at this moment. But in our case, in the research, we would like to continue using our proposal of proof of belonging by segmentation of roles and actions to be stored into Ethereum part, because basically all the Ethereum protocol inside um, all the Ethereum protocol inside the mobile devices, it can't be maintained because it's so heavy to them to use the protocol for now that is proof, well, for the protocol that is implemented now, that is proof of work. So the process to do this is based on first all the creation, all the interactions done with baskets and agreements are published in the network when it's created or when something is done. Then, this is published to all the network. After this, Scout always is looking for what elements has to be validated, and it registered into the swarm these elements. The worker analyze them, and unlockers has to validate all this process. And these are the more or less the conclusion for this research that the work in progress that we are doing now is transforming the first approximation of Eurakos to into a cryptocurrency using Ethereum, our innovation is to try to see if this kind of validation could be implemented inside the Ethereum protocol instead of proof of work. And well, for now we want to be able to see implemented this validation. So that's all for now. Thank you very much.
You have any question?
I have two questions. The first one refers to Ethereum. Can you tell a little bit more about it and why you choose Ethereum? And the second one is more technical, is how do you generate the validation codes? And maybe you can detail a little bit on the validation code.
Well, first of all, Ethereum is a technology that uses blockchain. Blockchain is a decentralized environment that well give us an ability to create decentralized application based on the same technology that started with Bitcoin. I use Ethereum because, well, for me it was like an evolution of the basis blockchain technology, and for me it was quite understandable way to interact with blockchain technology. And because I previously had some experience with object-oriented languages, and for me it was a good approximation to try to transform this coin to a cryptocurrency. And in the second question, the way to do this validation, first of all, is using a language that is well, yeah. Sorry. Basically, I'm only defining like a signature of all the elements that I use, or that I program in a language that is only that only appears in Ethereum, that is called Solidity. Solidity, you can represent more or less in their own language all the behavior that you want to execute in a centralized way. Usually this this kind of language works in a client server interaction, and with this, from the mobile devices and the interaction with Ethereum, you can call all the behavior from all the coins. So according to these contracts or these signatures that I use, and the architecture is defined in this place, usually all the contracts or all the behavioral part is stored in this part in Ethereum, and the interaction with them from the mobile devices is using this like a middleware that usually from the mobile device you start interacting, and this one I start doing like a bridge to be able to work like in a centralized way from the coin. I don't know if I could be more or less clear, but basically is using the contracts, and with this architecture I try to modelize all the interaction of the coin.
Another question?
I'm not sure I understood well the bee colony algorithm. Can you explain it a little bit again? And does it have any relation with ant colony search algorithms?
Well, it could, but it is more or less related because both of them there are collaborative algorithms to do a specific task or a group of tasks to do something. In this case, the difference between bees colony and the ant colony usually ant colony works with like a trace that usually the ants left to 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 leave all the work to the last elements that works to validate. In swarm colony, basically defines like a defines the work to be done um, in three roles basically. Um, Basically, in this case, the bees colony works like three kind of levels of roles. Basically, the scout looks for all the elements. The basis of the algorithms says that the scout looks for the food. The workers analyzes if it can be exploited or not, and uh, give to unlockers the task to exploit them, and the unlockers doesn't think anything, only receives the task and exploit all the tasks that they have to do. In this case of the algorithms at itself, if you have to exploit some food resources, the unlockers only receive the task and exploit the resource. In the case of this implementation, when you have to validate some task or some transaction or some agreement that is created in the environment, first of all, the element is published along the network, and the scout has to look for all the available elements to be validated and bring them to the swarm to be analyzed and to determine if the colony can exploit this. So the worker defines that if it is possible to be validated or not. And the worker, as in the basic algorithm, that the unlocker only receive the task and do the task. More or less, this is the difference.
This is called swarm intelligence. So it's a way to organize, distribute tasks between among several profiles, several types of roles that emergently solve with less complexity and more efficiency in the long term, as long as there are enough variety of all these elements. So bees, ants, spiders, wherever is the image could be adopted. The general term is always swarm. So
Yeah, I mean, what I know about the ant colonies, it was only one type of worker or whatever, and it was only for path finding. So this seems more general and okay.
this combination of exploration and exploitation, the way of
Okay, more questions? Okay, thank you very much.